mynews.studio.
In Sri Lanka, 300,000 landmines are now gone. What does it really take to reclaim a landscape marked by war? And, switching continents, can a blue-feathered parrot survive extinction when viruses threaten its fragile return?
Today's date is 2025-11/23. Let's start with Sri Lanka's mine clearance. Decades after the civil war ended in 2009, landmines still kept people from returning home. What scale are we talking about here?
The scale was enormous. Since the conflict ended, clearance teams have found and removed about 900,000 landmines and destroyed over 1.5 million unexploded devices. The 300,000th landmine was cleared in June 2024. That made 120 square kilometers safe again. That's more than a third bigger than Manhattan. But it's not only about the numbers, is it?
Exactly. That land is now used for farming, homes, even tourism. And the people clearing these mines, many are war widows or returnees themselves. Why is it so important to have the community involved directly?
Because local people know the land, its history, and where dangers still might be hidden. Involving them builds trust, and it makes the recovery last. Plus, it creates jobs and helps communities reconcile as they work side by side to restore their environment. It's a process that's as much about healing as it is about technical work.
And the safety impact? I saw that landmine casualties dropped from 252 in 2002 to just 3 last year. That's a 99% reduction. So clearance plus education really works. But how does this translate into economic recovery?
Over 280,000 people who were displaced have returned home. Once land is cleared, it supports farming, infrastructure projects, and new businesses. Tourism is a big factor too. Northern Sri Lanka, which was closed off for years, can now welcome visitors. Tourism brings in more than $3 billion a year for the country, and opening up new areas could grow that even further.
International donors have been involved as well. Australia, for example, has put in $20 million since 2009, and just recently added another $800,000 for demining and support services. Is the funding stable for the next few years?
Funding is becoming less certain. Sri Lankan rupee has strengthened, so aid money now covers less. And new contaminated areas have been found, so the original 2028 deadline under the Mine Ban Treaty probably won't be met. A strategy developed this year sets a new target for 2027. But there's pressure on operational capacity.
Let's move to Brazil. The Spix's macaw, declared extinct in the wild in 2000. What changed after that?
Conservationists kept breeding Spix's macaws in captivity. By the early 2020s, there were about 177 birds. In 2022, some were reintroduced to protected areas in Bahia, Brazil. The real breakthrough was breeding success. In 2021, 3 chicks hatched, and by late 2023, 2 chicks were born in the wild. That's the first time in decades that's happened.
But these successes are delicate. What are the main threats facing the reintroduced Spix's macaws now?
Disease is the most immediate threat. In 2025, a circle virus outbreak affected both captive and released birds. 7 tested positive. Authorities ordered all reintroduced birds to be captured and tested. It was a controversial move, but they feared the virus could spread to other endangered species like the Lear's macaw.
How did the conservation community respond to that decision?
There was disagreement. Some groups challenged the capture order in court, but the order remained. It's complicated, protecting the flock's health while still trying to establish a wild population. It shows just how uncertain reintroduction efforts can be.
So even with these setbacks, the project keeps going?
Yes, it continues. The IUCN still lists the Spix's macaw as extinct in the wild, and that isn't likely to change for at least 5 more years. But the fact that they're surviving and breeding in their natural habitat is a real achievement. The challenge now is to keep up funding and adapt as new threats appear, especially diseases.
When you look at both cases, Sri Lanka's landmine removal and Brazil's parrot recovery, what connects them?
Both need sustained effort and flexible strategies, whether it's restoring land or saving a species. Involving local communities is essential, as is international cooperation. Careful monitoring, steady funding, and sharing knowledge all matter. And in both cases, it's about more than a technical fix. It's about rebuilding lives and ecosystems.
Can these lessons be used in other places too?
They can. Prioritizing long-term, adaptable support, involving communities, and working across borders can help other countries facing similar problems, whether it's post-war recovery or biodiversity loss. When humanitarian and conservation goals are linked, the impact for people and nature can be much greater.
So hope isn't just a feeling. It's something that comes from steady collaboration, patience, and adapting to new challenges. Sri Lanka moves closer to being mine-free, and the Spix's macaw has a chance in the wild again.
Exactly. These stories show that with the right resources, knowledge, and determination, even decades of harm can be turned around.
From land cleared of mines to skies with rare parrots, restoration is possible, but it needs constant work and cooperation. Thanks for listening. This episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. Try it free today.